Are we ready? Good evening. The 2025 annual meeting of the Escambia Children's Trust Board of Directors is being called to order at 5:30 p.m. Please turn off all cell phones or put them in silent mode. If anyone wishes to make public comments, please complete the public comment form located on the table to the left of the podium and turn it in to Ms. Alma. At this time, we will proceed with roll call. Ms. Alma?
Ms. Woods?
Present.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Dr. Northup? Here. Mr. Leonard? Here. Ms. Kane?
Here.
Commissioner May has called and said he'll be a little late. Ms. White?
Here.
Judge Williams?
Here.
Thank you.
Now, the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Williams, please. Thank you, Mr. Williams. If everyone has had time to review the agenda, do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda passes. Public comment. In this meeting, we will be selecting the 2025 Board of Directors. Our officers for the board, are there any public comments before we begin? With no public comment. Since we operate under Sunshine Law and have been able to discuss this matter outside of the meeting, would the board like a few minutes to discuss who may or may not be interested in filling the position of chair, vice chair, and treasurer? If everyone is ready to proceed, is there a nomination?
What you have first?
Chair. Is there a nomination for chair?
I would like to nominate Mr. Norfolk for the board chair.
And Mr. North, are you willing to be the chair? And I would nominate Ms. Stephanie as well. Would you be willing?
Sure. Honored.
So we need a second for Mr. Northup. I have a second? Or I guess discussion, right? We
I'm
have
having trouble hearing, so
oh,
tell me what just took place.
So we are nominating, recommending 2 people for the chair position.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I
Well,
have that Mr.
Could
Williams.
those two, could there be a discussion about those two kind of working things out to where one of them would be the chair and one of them would be the vice chair? Instead of, because I think we may be headed that way anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe Dr. Northup and Ms. Stephanie, since this is the only occasion we can talk, maybe those two could talk it out and decide what we need to do.
I'll do
Miss-
anything, Dr. Northup. I've already been chair before, so if you would like to be chair, you're more than welcome to do it.
Well, I was going to likewise comment on the phenomenal job that you did as prior chair, but I would be honored and try to follow in the steps of my 2 predecessors who have set the bar pretty high, I would say. So thank you both for that prior service.
So we have a nomination for chair and vice chair. So I guess first nomination, are we just voting? So I need a second for Dr. North for chair. Can somebody second that?
I'll second.
Second. So any discussion on Dr. Northup for chair? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we have I nominated Stephanie, so I would nominate her again for vice chair. Can I have a second, please?
I can second that one too.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope.
Abstain.
Abstain. Abstain. So we have a chair and vice chair, and then now we also need a treasurer.
What do you need?
Treasurer?
I do have the bylaws, if you'd like to hear the duties of the treasurer, since we don't have Mr. Peden here. If you'd like, it's presiding over our Finance and Operations Committee, serve as a member of our Executive Committee, preside at all board meetings in the absence of the chair or the vice chair, be the primary check signer of the board in the absence of the chair. A signature is subject, of course, to a counter signature by another member of the board or the executive director. And in the event of a vacancy in the positions of chair, vice chair, or treasurer, the position shall be filled at the next meeting of the members to finish the term out. So signing checks and all of that. so.
Who's the other one?
I may get fired for mentioning this, but our chair, who's coming off, would be an eligible person because she's not served as a treasurer.
Good. I nominate Tori Woods as,
Second it.
That was so close, so close.
I would like to speak as the recently elected chair, that to have both Stephanie and Tori available to me would be phenomenal, and I would welcome that.
So I guess I need a second.
Second.
A second. Any discussion?
I will say, and just real quick, not about you, but I will say that if the three of us are not reappointed, we will need to redo this again. So just keep that in mind for the future. That's all the discussion I have.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I am the treasurer. Thank you, and congratulations to the officers of the board. Our final piece of business is the resolution 2025-02, allowing changing authorized signers on the bank account. The executive director recommends approval of resolution 2025-02, authorizing the replacement of the board members to bank accounts as signers with the effective date of January 14, 2025. May I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I will second with the correction here, reading step 3 that says former board officers Tori Woods and David Peden should be removed. And since we just elected Tori as the treasurer, we will simply be kind of perhaps changing her title or whatever rather than removing her.
Correct. This is basically a draft for you guys to see. We'll make the change of taking Tori's name out there, and we won't have to change then for the treasurer because Tori's already authorized on the board. So we'll just have to add the board chair. And there is a resolution also from the bank that, Mr. Williams, you have to sign too, because you are the current vice chair before this election. And I'll have to have either bring it to you or have you come by the office to sign. So that would be Stephanie and Dr. Northrup. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Madam Chair, can I get just clarification? Judge, you abstained only from the vice president, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
So, we can move on to the rest of the agenda? Okay. So now we are moving on to the treasurer's report?
So you're going to stop the meeting?
We are adjourning it, okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I thought we were doing this, we're doing it at this time, okay. Adjournment. So are there any other comments from the board? If no other further comments, the meeting is being adjourned at 5:39 PM. We'll take a 10-minute break and proceed with the January meeting.
Okay, my apologies to everyone in regards to the delay. We have, if you were here for the first part of things, noted that we went through the annual meeting, had an election of officers, and one of the first things I would like to do as the newly voted chair would be to express my individual, and I think that I speak on the part of the entire board here, appreciation to Tori for her performance in this past year, or a couple of years, as the chair of this board. And I individually think you have done just an outstanding job in that role, and thank you for that. And to the other co-chair as well, vice chair, and to the prior treasurer who has departed from the board here, David Peden, and thank you all. You all have set, Stephanie beginning prior to that, and then Tori have set a high standard for the chair's position, and I hope to live up to that and deliver as you all have done, and thank you all for that. So what we will do at this point is call the meeting officially to order by the clock at 5:48 or so, and begin with the roll call of the meeting at this time.
Ms. Woods. Mr. Williams.
Here.
Dr. Northup.
Here?
Mr. Leonard. Ms. Kane.
Here.
Commissioner May. Ms. White.
Here.
Judge Williams.
Here.
Thank you. And Commissioner May, having joined, lead the group in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, my friend.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
Thank you. The next item of business is an approval of the agenda, and I would like to offer an amendment to the agenda before we vote on that, and that is to add a special presentation by the EPS Christian Center, and that will be down as item number 8. But other than that addition, would ask for a motion to approve and then a second, unless there are changes to be made.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Okay, thank you. The next item is an approval of the minutes from the last meeting on December 10th, and those were presented both by way of email in our prior to this meeting as well as now, and so again would ask for motion to approve and a second on that.
So moved.
Any discussion, changes, corrections, deletions? And if not, will be stand as approved. And next will be our treasurer's report, and in fairness to the immediately preceding elected treasurer, we will ask Ms. Abrams instead to offer that report this evening.
Thank you. You will find in your packet the financial reports for November 2024. The standard things are there. There were no unexpected or unusual transactions during the month. And if you guys have any specific questions, I'd be happy to go over them with you. Okay, now if there are none, then I will recommend that they be filed for audit.
Motion to approve those minutes as submitted. Any objection? If not, we'll stand as submitted. Thank you. Public comments from the community at this time. If so, there's a 3-minute period to speak, and would ask that you would come to the podium, and as well as presenting Ms. Alma with Ellis with requests, the paperwork, those forms are where? We don't have any over here on the table, but we have no request for that. So now we will move on to the special presentation by EPS Center and welcome those people for that presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I should have stepped to success up here, but anyway, we just want to thank the Escambia County Children's Trust for allowing Epps Christian Center to serve our vulnerable, great angel children for the last 2 years. And with that, we're going to turn it over to our program director.
Yes, thank you all for allowing us to serve our children. My name is Pamela Wright, and I am the program director of Steps to Success. At Steps to Success, our mission is to empower our underserved students through quality education in the STEAM fields of science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We meet on Saturdays from, it's actually 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Throughout the school year. And then we have our summer camp for 4 weeks in the summer. We offer them academic enrichment in reading and mathematics, and also the science fields and engineering. Our target population is students in grades 3 through 5. Our current feeder schools are Global Learning, Montclair Elementary, C.A. Wise Elementary, and right now we are also serving Warrenton Elementary. Our focus is on mentoring, SEL skills, problem solving through cooperation, innovation, and persistence. So what is STREAM? STREAM is science. We teach them through hands-on experiments, exploration, inquiry-based learning. We also teach them robotics and digital literacy. We have a strong focus in reading, and we want them to develop their literacy and comprehension skills. We also believe in building their problem-solving skills through design challenges. We have art projects. We foster their creativity and critical thinking through visual and performing arts. We also have a strong focus in mathematics, where we strengthen their foundational math concepts through real-world applications. We also believe in the power of mentorship. We have one-on-one and small group mentoring through building self-awareness, their self-management skills, and responsible decision-making. We promote empathy. Students have opportunities to volunteer through Epps Christian Center and eComfort. We believe in communication, and we build conflict resolution skills with our students. We have role models. We introduce students in our field trips to businesses, through local businesses, through higher education and the community. So through enhanced academic performance skills, improved emotional well-being, and stronger social skills, this is what we're doing through the power of mentorship with our students. We also encourage teamwork and collaboration in all our STREAM activities. Our students work in teams to solve real-world problems through engineering design projects, collaborative science experiments, art projects with the focus on innovation. So our students are weekly developing critical thinking skills. They are weekly developing their teamwork skills, their leadership skills, and communications. On Saturdays, we offer them breakfast. We give them 60 minutes of academic and remediation. We give them structured physical activities. We mentor them on a weekly basis, and they are always active. As a matter of fact, here's an example of one of the activities that they did, that we encourage them to think creativity and explore new ideas. This was a prototype that they built. They had a challenge: who could build the strongest tower? So we're teaching them persistence and emphasizing the importance of perseverance when facing the challenges. So we want them to try. We want them to even fail and learn and try again. So our focus is to provide a high-quality, out-of-school time program. So we want to support our students who may not have access to resources like tutoring, have access to STEM program, or creative arts experiments. So we want to provide community engagement. Over this summer, we took our students to the airport. So some of our students may not have even been to the airport. As a matter of fact, the students that we took had never ever seen the Pensacola airport. So we offer them those types of opportunities. So as part of our program goals and objectives, we want to improve the academic performance of our students. We want to make them want to go to school. We know that our students want to come to our program. We want to enhance the students' social and emotional learning skills, foster their problem-solving, innovation, and teamwork skills. We also want to equip them with the tools and confidence to succeed in school and beyond. And we also want to close the opportunity gap for the underserved students that we serve. But we know that we can't do this without our staff. We have a staff of certified teachers and mentors from the community that have high qualifications. So they are responsible for implementing our program goals and objectives. So I have our psych coordinator here tonight, and I want her to talk to you all about the activities that we do on a weekly basis.
All right. Good evening. I'm Laquita Cobb, and I'm the site coordinator for Steps to Success. And just to give you an idea of some of the activities and programs that we include, like Pamela said, we focus on hands-on learning with the kids. Also mentor-based programs, or the mentorings, getting involved with the kids. We have guest speakers come out. And more importantly, we get the kids. I've never seen kids who want to get up on a Saturday morning and come to a program. So we try not to make it so much like school, but it's still, we get education in a fun way. And so they want to come, they want to be picked up. And so we got to make sure that we're doing things that they want to do. So we interest survey the kids, like what kind of opportunities or what kind of projects would they like. So on this picture here, we went to the radio station. We were doing project-based learning, and we were talking about entrepreneurship, black businesses, and serving small businesses. So we went to see Mr. Hill, and I was thinking, like, the kids listen to, like, BLX, they're not gonna wanna really, they wanna hear hip-hop or something like that. But when we got down there with Mr. Hill, and he was telling them how things have changed, all 40 of those kids were tuned in, like, can we work here? How do we get started? You know, how do we start our business? And he told them his story. So that was a really great time. And the kids was like, well, y'all are too young to actually start working now at the radio station. But he did tell them some things that they could do for as them doing their business. At the other side, we had a community garden that we're still working on. We are growing broccoli, kale, cabbage, collard greens, and I think cauliflower. And cauliflower, yes. So the kids are working in the garden, and the whole point of that was to get them involved with not only understanding how we went through how plants grow, all the things about plants, but being able to do some things at home as well. So understanding that they're going to do some gardening and then be able to transpose that. And the kids are like, they want to make sure their stuff is growing properly, like when can we eat it? So we're constantly telling them, okay, we got to keep an eye on it. It takes more things to it. And we have them working in the garden because the whole point is for them to get the experience, not necessarily us, because if it was me, they'd be dead, all the plants. But the kids make sure that we keep monitoring how the plants are growing and providing the opportunity for them to do that. The other picture was was that when we went to IMHC? That's when the mentors went to, that's when we went? That's when we went to the IMHC. We got the kids get a chance to see about, like Pamela said, we do robotics, some coding, Lego, some building, getting some fundamental understanding. So they got a chance to work with their mentors and the place. And our mentors are great because they always celebrating their progress and showing them everything is like a competition. So we have to see which group is going to do better. And at the end, we teach them that they're all winners. How do we measure success? We have used different programs. Right now, we're working with IXL, and the kids, when they come in, they see a leaderboard, and when they're doing their activities, they're trying to see how many questions they're getting right, and it pops up. So as the board is going, so they're encouraged more to get more right so they can get up on the board. But everyone's on the board, and they get this little chart that runs up. So they love doing that. With SEL, we do regular check-ins and improvement on getting them to learn social, emotional things. And we take them out on field trips, like movies. We've been several places and try to make sure that they are being respectful, that they are being young ladies and young men of excellence, and to see if what these mentors are teaching them in small group, if it's really transferring, if they're really understanding it. And so we always get good praise and feedback from the community, say, oh, you know, that was a great group, where you guys are from, and things like that. So we enjoy that. We have our biggest achievement or improvement was the fact that the report cards, when we did report cards, that 88% of the kids really had no change. They were still passing, so we're still doing all these things, working on reading and mathematics. And we're like, okay, so it's not making that much of a difference until we got back the scores. So when we got back the FAST scores, we saw that our group of kids in reading, 86% of our students improved with significant change. They went up scale scores. My granddaughter goes to the program, and for her third grade, going to fourth grade, she went from a level 3 to a level 5 in reading. Because all summer these kids had to read. They had to have a book. They had to sign something. They had to do a 3-2-1. And all the acronyms that we all teachers use. We made sure that, connect the picture. Visualize yourself there. We made them read. Some days was a little bit easier than others because they're like, this not school, it's the summertime. But we tried to get high interest books. And I looked at the Florida Summer Youth books and added some of those books in there and said, okay, guys, let's make it fun. Act like you're that person. So we were very pleased with their reading scores. And math, they love math. Love, love, love math. 82% of the students improved and had a change in mathematics, but they would do math all the time if they could. Not so much reading, but we work on that. So here's some of the field trips that we went on. The first one is the rock climbing. Like Pam said, we include health and wellness for the kids, as well as educational, getting them to understand different concepts or different items. So they went to UWF and they did the rock climbing and paintball, I think, that day as well. So that week was a boot camp, so it was all physical. So we did a metric Olympics and different kinds of activity. On the other side is one of our Thanksgiving food drive. We put the kids out to work. They came for Pastor Food, and they got out there to work and give back to the community. So that was a good thing. So we're giving them opportunity to do community involvement and community service. This is our IHM when they got a chance to go down to the Human Mega Cognition Center downtown, and they had a blast. They got to see robotics in action, because a lot of them are very much interested in robotics and seeing how it works and understanding the concept of that. We went to this mouth is loud. So when we did our aviation week, we got the opportunity to go to Uncle Sandy's Bird Park, and they learned about the science of the birds, how the birds work. They also learned about flight that week, so that was a very good experience. And a lot of the kids didn't even know that we had a bird park right here on 9 Mile. On the other side, the kids work together with each other, doing different kinds of activity. Like we said, we do role playing, we do skits, and put them in scenarios and situations to understand and use those critical thinking skills. Overall, our kids are, I think we have like the best group of kids out there. And the main example I wanted to share, one of our success stories about this young lady here on the cover. Niaja started at our program with her brothers last year, and she was in the 3rd grade then. When she came in, she really struggled, not with just being heavy or being a little overweight, but she was struggling with things at home and struggling with school, and she felt like her brothers bullied her, which sometimes they did, because she's the baby and they're older boys. And we really took an interest in her. Her and her mentor worked together. So she worked with all of the mentors, really, because she is one of those people that if you say something, I guess it triggered something in her. So she would always be upset, and she would always come, Miss Cobb, Miss Cobb, Miss Cobb, Miss Cobb. And so we had a chance to talk to her, and I sat down with her, and I was like, well, tell me what's going on. So she shared some things. So I told her mentor, the last one, I said, okay, even though you might not like what the mentor is saying, try to see if it works. Let's try to do it. And she was getting, I think, I have Mary here, I think she had like eight referrals initially, like 8 referrals in a time period. And it was all things where it was mostly her acting out, or another kid said something and she didn't know how to de-escalate or to calm herself down, or she wasn't using any of the things that we were teaching her. So finally, I would say about the end of last year, our summer program, she started more like seeing that we're gonna still be here, you still can come. She had a little bumps in the road. And her brothers, they stopped coming because one graduated, he went to 6th grade, and the other one had football and he was not coming to the program, but she still asked to be picked up. Well, from last year to this year, I will have you know she's AB on the roll. She had 1 C. That she is one of the students that come in and you can see her being a leader in the group and assimilating with the kids. So when a new kid starts, she is that friend now, rather than being so aggressive. She still have her moments with some of the mentors and the teachers. She still have her moments, but they are far less. So if nothing else, she is on the steps to success. She has took what we are doing and applied it to her life, even her self-care. And this is an older picture of her because she's lost a little weight and she feels just much better about herself. And so for no other reason, I make sure when I'm getting up on Saturday, I think of the successes that we have and the kids who they want to come, so that makes me want to come and make me want to give them my all. And not just me, all of us. So we are on the steps to success, as well as the kids. Our goals, we set goals every year. And so together we know that we can create a path to success for every student in our program to succeed. We like to empower, inspire, and uplift the next generation of leaders and innovators, because that's what they're working on. And as a whole, our goal this year is we will thrive in 2025. It's all about thriving. So thank you.
Are there any questions?
No, just a comment I'd like to make. I'd like to thank you for working in those schools, especially 3 of those schools are in District 3, which I represent on the school board. And also just want to thank you for reinforcing those strategies that are being taught every day in the school system of engagement. And it's very important for children to read, and it's very hard to do anything else if you can't read. So I really appreciate that. And also just, I was making notes, the immediate feedback is a learning tool that teachers try to do every day, and I appreciate you giving them immediate feedback, whether it's positive or negative feedback. Kids they learn from immediate feedback, and also the small groups. Thank you for doing that, and I think the evidence is obvious in those schools. I think Superintendent Leonard can attest to this. Those schools are really, really thriving, and it's because of the community and the help that you're doing in the community. Thank you very much.
Welcome, thank you.
I did have a question. How many children do you serve in the program?
Who's asking? 40. 40.
Thank you. I just didn't have it in front of me. I was just wondering. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We thank you so much for allowing us to serve.
Thank you. I can only reflect on one of our next items of business down here, the CARES grant. And one of the things driving those are the issues, I'll get to it, I'm not skipping, I'm just relating to their comments here of the amount of youth violence in the community and that type of thing, and their comments regarding cooperation and de-escalation and the other skills that they are teaching there can only have a very favorable impact on that area. And though there may only be 40 children, which sounds like a small number, is each one of those children know some other children, and they know children. And it ends up being a domino effect that the 40 you have such favorable impact on go out themselves and have more impact favorably throughout the community. And it just is a wonderful thing that you all are doing. So thank you. Okay, our next item of business is going to be something that I know all of you board members are excited about and ready to jump in on, and that has to do with looking at the committees of the board for next year. By way of refresher and out to the community here as well, we have 4 formal committees of the board. There's the Finance and Operations Committee, the Programs Committee, Policy and Bylaws Committee, and the Personnel Committee. So I'm going to run through each of those 4 with the current members, and a couple of them we can look for some additional volunteer to bring our numbers up. But all of them, we are looking for someone to volunteer and serve as the chair. Now, we are lucky the first committee is the Finance and Operations. The chair of that committee is the treasurer, which means that we have Tori already in, which I knew she is on that committee, and I just knew that she was going to raise her hand to be the chair of that committee, so thank you for that. That is one of the committees that we have an open position on. David Williams, would you be willing to continue to serve on that committee?
Yes.
Okay, myself, and I will be serving, I guess, representing on all of these now as the chair. Tori, we have you as a member of the committee, and now as the treasurer will be serving as the chair. Stephanie, you are currently on that committee. Will you be willing to continue serving?
I will. If there's somebody else who would like to serve, that would be great too.
Okay, and again, as I say, that is one of the two committees, 2 out of the 4 that we are looking for an additional volunteer member of the board to serve on, if anyone is thus inclined. And if you don't incline yourself, the chair may incline you thus anyway. We'll come back to that, but Tori will be listed in the position as the treasurer chair. But seriously, please do give some thought to that being one of the 2. The program committee is one, all of the positions are filled on that, but we do have the need for someone to volunteer to serve as the chair. The current members of that, Mr. Williams, would you be willing to continue to serve on that committee? Yes. Okay, thank you. Myself, Stephanie, would you be willing to serve on that committee?
Yes.
Tori, you are listed as a member of that committee as well. And then Commissioner May, you are also listed as the program committee. Will you be willing to continue? Okay, as I said, among the 5 of you, or 4 of you, not counting myself, that one we are looking for a committee chair of that one. Mr. Williams, Ms. White, and Commissioner May. Between the 3 of you, are any of the 3 of you all interested in taking on that position?
I can chair if no one,
Okay.
unless you're more than welcome. I'm already a chair.
Okay, so Tori,
Stephanie?
okay. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Okay, the 3rd committee is the Policy and Bylaws Committee. Ms. Kane is on that committee. Would you be willing to continue your serve on that committee? Okay. Stephanie, you are on that committee as well. Actually, Stephanie, you are on all of these committees, so,
I'm trying to get off of one of them. I
Okay.
offered to excuse myself from 1 or 2 of them.
well, the cheat sheet that I have here says that that has a 3-member need by it, and we currently have 4 members. So if that was one that you would prefer to step off of, that would still leave us with 3 people on that committee. Okay? I would say, so Ms. Kane and/or Judge Williams, you are also on that committee. So it would be Ms. Kane, Judge Williams, and Ms. Woods would be the 3 members of that committee. And would one, Troy, I'm going to take you out of that because you're already on 2, as well as the finance chair. So either Ms. Kane or Judge Williams, either of you all willing to serve? Or if anyone else wants to also join that committee, you would be welcome. Anybody willing to take that on between the 2, Ms. Kane or Judge Williams? Any takers? Okay, thank you. And lastly, the Personnel Committee, which should probably, if I speak out of line here to the staff, please let me know, but the Personnel Committee of late, with having stabilized the staff and all, should have a relatively infrequent meeting and need, so that is not a high participation need or load with that. Ms. White is on that committee. Mr. Leonard is on that committee. Commissioner May is on that committee. Tori and myself are on that committee. So are all of you willing that are on that committee interested and/or willing to stay on that committee? Or would
What committee?
Personnel Committee? And this has Personnel Committee, Ms. White, Mr. Leonard, Commissioner May, myself, and Ms. Wood. And that one also needs a chair for that committee. Either Commissioner May or Mr. Leonard, might either of you all be interested and willing to serve or available? No. All right, well, thank you for that. So we now have our 4 committees. Finance and Operations will be Tori as the treasurer, automatically falls into that role. The Programs Committee, Mr. Williams will be chairing that committee. The Policy and Bylaws Committee, Ms. Kane will be chairing that committee. The Personnel Committee, Commissioner May will be chairing that committee. And we have personnel will stay the same throughout, other than Ms. White has withdrawn from the Policy and Bylaws Committee, but otherwise, all of the members remain the same there. Okay. Now, thank you all for that. The next item of business is Ms. Cannon with the annual report, which is submitted to you all as the attached document.
Yes, thank you. We had these printed out for you all. We have not done a mass print, just so you know. We wanted you to have this, whether it's something that you want to share with someone or keep on your desk for reference. Our team put this together, and I think it's a really great tool for you to be able to use as you go forward. The link is on our website. We submitted this also, obviously not in copy, but virtually to our county commission, so they each have a copy of it and availability to assess it, and of course ask any questions that they may have around that. So if you need any more of these, let us know. But otherwise, like I said, we just did a really small run for you all to have. So we're proud of this. This is the first one that we've done like this. It's really got a lot of content in it. And as we move forward into our next year, we're certainly going to have a lot more to report. So we might have to skinny it down some. But I think for our research purposes also, and what we're looking at going forward and what we've invested in, this really gives you a really great picture of where our services are, not only physically, but where they are related to what they said they were going to do.
Lindsay, you may have said this already, and I may well have missed it, and if so, my apologies. Will this be on the website as well in some way, shape, or form, so that the general public could review this also?
It is. It's on our website. If you go to our impact tab, it'll have it under there, and you can see all of our publications from our renewal, for our, where it's broken into out of school time and then mental health. This one actually has also our sole source applications in there as well, so you can see that data too. But it is on our website currently.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Cannon? All right, thank you. The next is the CARES grant update, and I will preface this, some of you all may well be aware of this. The sequencing or the order that is about to be proposed and discussed is a little bit out of our normal way of doing requests for proposals and the board reviews and et cetera. And in part, in very large part actually, that is related to some time constraints that we are under in an attempt to get these grants out by the summer in order to better meet needs. And so that's why what is going to be discussed and proposed is being proposed. So, Ms. Cannon.
Thank you. So I was able to speak to most of you about this. We do want to do this a little backwards. I know that's not what we have been doing since I got here, but when we started really putting a timeline together, we would like to have the CARES grant posted by January 30th. When we start looking at the timeline and what it takes to put it out, have our nonprofits apply, have those reviewed, have those approved by the board, and then contracts, I think the earliest we will be able to do that gives us enough time to really do this, a qualitative review of this, is going to be by May 1st. And that is going into the teeth of the summer. And so if we delay doing this, we're going to be delaying services being deployed during summer, which we know from our youth violence focus group, as well as some of the other nonprofits that we've been meeting with, their needs are now. So we want it to be a fair RFP process. There are some things, you've seen a draft of this now. It's definitely something that's going to be reviewed again with our program committee. So this isn't a vote to say that no changes can be made to this with the program committee, but we would like a vote that this draft will be the one that we can utilize going forward and post on the 30th pending any changes that our program committee may have. And not only our program committee, if you're not on that and you've read through it and you have some input, we would like that. We're having our program committee meet on the 21st. That'll be our opportunity to really go through, adjust anything, and then finalize our rubric. If you look at the very last pages, it has our rubric and the general topics, but we did not score that out because we didn't want to do that and then have if there was a significant change. I think we've covered most of the topics in that application related to the questions and the background of where we came from this, which was not only our focus group, but also those individual meetings with a lot of our nonprofits that have some very specific needs, but already have maybe services covered. Might need a one-time purchase to enhance some of the things that they're doing, or some community events being deployed. So no, that's backwards. We normally do program committee first and then bring it to the board. But I am, because of the time, the holidays, we were not able to do program committee prior to this meeting, and we don't want to delay any further. So.
One of the points that I should have made and that you've alluded to is that the draft request for this CARES grant was sent out electronically to us with requests for comments and feedback. So if you have an opportunity to do that, and or you already have done that, you can then supply that feedback to Lindsay, and that will get distributed to the program committee as we go through it and fine tune the request for the RFPs and all. So we would appreciate and welcome that feedback from all of the members of the board, not just the members that are on the program committee. So any questions about that? If not, I'm going to ask for a motion for us, again, as the recommendation there, to go ahead and proceed to allow the grant application to be reviewed in the program committee on the 21st, looked at, and then go ahead and be approved at that time. And
So moved.
all righty. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, very good. Thank you all for that. And again, apologize for some of the, a little out of our normal sequence of operations there, but hopefully that will meet the community need by getting us ready to approve those actual grants and get that money out to the providers. The next item of business here is the ratification of year 3 out-of-school time funding. Ms. Abrams will be presenting this. We have discussed this previously, but we're now ready to bring the summary, which is presented on a piece of paper that you all should have gotten here. Children's Trust Resolution 2025-01, and Ms. Abrams will provide the update on that.
Thank you. Resolution 2025-01 is authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with providers offering the out-of-school time for after-school and summer services to Escambia County children and youth. I'm sorry? Yeah, it was voted on in December. We didn't have all the exact dollar amounts because we were waiting for the extension budgets to come through. So this is a ratification now that we do have those dollar amounts from these 11 providers. We do have 4 more providers that will be going to the program committee and then to the board next month. We had questions about them, and we have been meeting with them and getting those cleared up. So they will be going to the program committee this month and to the board next month so that they will be ready to go on March 1st.
Tammy, I have a question about the out-of-school funding. So I'm looking at, so 321, or the first line is like what their budget is for the year, correct? Like for 12 months.
Yes, the first line would be their normal standard year, the 3/1 of 25 to 2/28 of 26.
Okay, and then the second line is for 3 months, and then the third column is 2 months.
Correct. We extended it through the school year, and then we extended for the summer year, summer program.
So the 6/1/26 to 7/31, that's 2 months, correct?
Yes, it is.
So for like lamplighters, for 1 year, their budget was 143, but then for 5 months, that combined is a year's worth of budget. Is that right?
That is correct.
So we're giving them a year's worth of budget in 5 months?
So the Lamplighters is one that we are working with still. We have met with them last week, and Lindsay also talked to them yesterday. So we are still working on what their final number will be. So that one could change and come back to you. And it would be lower if anything. They didn't offer full-time summer before, did they?
So you want us to vote on approving this, but it may change?
So the only line that might change would be the lamplighter. And I do believe that one change they're doing is a full-time summer program when they didn't have that before.
So that would be a scope, that would be a change of scope, right?
They have summer programming, they're just increasing hours.
But is it within their budget for a 5-month period?
Is there, I'm sorry, say that again?
I guess what I'm asking is how are we paying, like, how, if the 1-year budget is 143, where are we getting 142 for 5 months?
Well, we would have to go back through their budget. I mean, they have a budget narrative that they've submitted with all of that. If you think any of it's questionable, we can certainly go back. We can put this on hold. I mean, this isn't going to expire until March 1st.
Okay.
But it is one that we've been looking at because there are some things that they would like to do that might be scope change or an addition. And we'll be meeting about that at the program committee.
Because I have the same question for like Dixon School. It's 345 for the year, and then for 2 months it's like $191,000 for 2 months.
Well, but they're offering, so in the summer though, they're going full-time, so it's 5 days a week for 8 or 9 hours a day. So it is going to come out high like that and feel like it's double, because the other ones they're serving throughout the school year a couple hours in the afternoon.
I guess what my question is this 2-month scope, is that conducive to what the other 2 or 3 years of the contract have been? So like if we go back and look at June and July for the first and second and third year of the contract, is that what they were spending? And then the other months were like a lower amount?
Yes, when I looked at their amounts for the June and July of last year, it was very much in line with this. They spent majority of their budget in those 2 months.
But we're also looking at, one thing to consider is a ramp up to full scope of service of the amount of kids. So that, when we're looking at a projected budget, obviously, so if you had said, I'm going to serve 125, and you've only served 100, but you're on plane to pull in those extra 25, you're going to see the increased cost. But they were rooted in, the numbers that you're seeing were rooted in their 3-year budget that they originally submitted, and they are not to go over that for the 12 months. And then the trend is what Tammy is talking about for the rest of the school year, and then those summer months where it might be full-time, all-day care.
Lindsay, so just out of curiosity, if it's $191,000 a month, how many kids are they serving with that?
I'm sorry, which one are you talking about, Commissioner?
Dixon School of Arts, I think that's the one Toy was just talking about. But how many kids are they serving for that month, for $191,000?
Hang on, we'll have to pull it.
Or maybe I could look.
So when you look at their annual report that we gave you, they propose to serve 75 in the fall and spring programs, 100 for summer, and also during student break times. So for summer, it would be 100 kids is what they're projecting.
So for that month, June through July, they'd be serving 100 kids
Yes.
at 191?
Can we make a motion probably to table this until the program committee, if there's all these questions? Would that be a good idea?
We absolutely
If
can.
there's more questions?
Sure.
I just said make a, should we make a motion to table this so program committee could discuss it and look at it? and-
Yeah,
All right,
I
I'm
would
gonna-
agree because
okay,
I
I'm going to
have
make a
some
motion to
questions.
table this until the program committee on the 22nd, 21st can look at this and then get more information and bring it back after we have looked at it.
I second that.
Okay, there has been a motion to table this until it goes before the program committee on the 21st, and then it would come back to the board as a whole at our next meeting. And noting, if I'm looking at this correctly, that the earliest that this would be effective is going to be March 1 of 2025. That would still take place before that date. So we would still have a chance to review this in the program committee, exactly as Stephanie has said, and then bring back thoughts.
I second.
Okay. That has been seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the motion to table carries, and it will come before the program committee. And again, a reminder, I think all of us on the board are aware of this, but if you are not on one of the committees, you are certainly welcome to attend. They are open to the public, and certainly that is inclusive of all of the members of the board. So if anyone wants to come to the program committee meeting on the 21st and/or submit any thoughts or questions prior to that time, you're certainly welcome to do so. Okay, so the next item on our business is, speaking of, program committee update by Lindsay regarding the, in large part, the 4 out-of-school time programs that we had discussed previously, but postponed any decision-making on them.
No, just to let you know where we are in progress, we've already met with 2 of those entities and been able to really resolve some of it. It was really data and data entry. We have 2 more that we're meeting with tomorrow, so we should have that information all put together for you all for the program committee as well. So,
Thank you. Sounds like the program committee meeting is going to be a both busy and informative
Yes.
one, and a very active meeting. So, okay, next item will be executive director's comments. Ms. Cannon?
just to give you guys a few updates, I know I normally do a big slideshow. It's a lot of repetitive information, but just to let you know, as far as board applications updates go, that is still open. There are applicants, I think 11 applicants, and then 2 more that have come in this round. They have not been submitted to the governor's office yet, so just so you know that. We also talked about our sole source application. You know, we're getting a lot of those and people coming in. We've made that more robust. Rick's been able to integrate that actually into SAMUS. So there is a different process to go through with that rather than just filling out the old paperwork. We still have really highlighted the process of meeting with staff and talking those things through before applying, but I wanted to let you all know and be informed if you're have people you're talking to that are wanting to look at sole source, it is now through the SAMUS portal to make it easier. As far as outreach goes, it's going to be a fun month. We have been working on this for a few months with Warrington Preparatory Academy. They have, they're scheduling an ECT day, which is the 25th. It's a day for all of our ECT contracted organizations to come and put up tables and interface with families. maybe do some demonstrations of some sort or, activities. But it really is a place where they're wanting to bring the community in, and of course, that will help serve with our kids that may be leaving there and going into some of our high schools, working with like a chain reaction, lamplighters, things like that, or our ones that may have kids that are now going into elementary school and might need out-of-school time programs. So I think it's going to serve the full gamut of the family. We ask that you guys, if you're not doing it on that Saturday, feel free to drop by. It's from 9 to 12 that day. The other thing that we have done to really work with our providers is, you'll see this. This is a mailer that we've been working on. We did a small mail out. This is something that's been very successful in other areas of the state with their CSCs in informing families in a variety of ways. We know that, you can do something on TV, you can do something on social media, but sometimes when it's the third time or when it's in the mail, some people just receive it better that way. So Michael did a really great design on this. This went out to some of our very lowest income families in Escambia County. So we're going to monitor and watch what the response rate is on this. But these are things that we would like to do going forward, and especially as we're adding programs that gives families some ideas about places they can connect for services for their children. The final thing is, the end of the month is our FACT conference, so we will be going to that down in Orlando. It's going to be a really robust conference. We're excited to connect. There's a lot of topics that'll be really important for us to bring back as far as how we function and type of ways that we put funding out and support our community. So we'll be able to report back on that at the next meeting as well. But
I have a quick question.
Yes.
When are the names going to be submitted to the governor? Is that your decision or is that the county commission's decision?
I don't know. We've asked, they said that they have not responded back to us of when those were going to be submitted to the governor, so they're just there. I don't know if they're going to go in a batch or not. I don't know, Commissioner
I think we
Reagan.
submitted all except for the last two, is my understanding. We did
No.
submit.
They haven't been submitted to you've approved them.
We've approved.
But they haven't been batched up to the governor's office yet.
Well, I'll take care of that then, Stephanie,
Okay.
because they should
Just
have been.
keep us posted.
They should be, I think the motion was clear, because I made it, to keep accepting, keep the door open, but submit as they come in. And so we're going to keep submitting them. And so I will talk to Wes on tomorrow to make sure
Thank
they
you.
submitted it.
We've been just trying to follow up with the applicants.
It's not like the governor's reacting very quick to the ones that
Well,
he has.
clearly,
Yeah, clear.
and we don't know that, but.
Oh, he did react to UWF. And, speaking of appointments, Stephanie, thank you for your service. And, I want to publicly say, it's unfortunate that we have people who don't live in our community serving, but my support for Martha Saunders, who I believe is doing a good job, and to all you guys who serve, thank y'all for serving. Yeah, we're happy to. But we did decide as a county to not close the application process, to just leave it open and to just continue to send them until the governor appoints.
Well, and that was my understanding too, is that these were approved and we were just going to send them as you guys approved them, but they haven't gone. I think they're waiting to hear from you all as the commission to send.
Well, I
those
think they've
on.
heard, they might have not reacted, but they heard very
Okay.
clearly that they were supposed to send them, so we'll follow up.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions for Ms. Cannon? Okay, the last thing, any legal input, Meredith?
Very briefly, just a point of clarification on the item that was tabled. You really want to postpone versus table. When you table something, it comes back in the same meeting versus postponing to the next meeting. So just kind of finesse that language. The other thing, when it comes to the appointees, we do have the outstanding request to the Attorney General's office. They have sent a letter asking us, well, back in October, I believe, they sent a letter asking that we submit a memorandum, which we did. And I've reached out a couple times, not had any response. So I'll be sending a follow-up hard copy letter just to kind of move that along.
Lindsay, and we're not unique with the appointments of the Children's Trust, correct? I mean, there's been a lot of delays at other trusts.
No, there's been significant delays throughout the state. We're not the only ones.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
But they've submitted some of them actually use their commission to do that, and then others submit directly. But it isn't moving quickly that I know of, but we do need to get the applicants up there that have applied. and you
Yeah,
guys
without a
have
doubt.
approved.
But I
But
just-
other than that,
I mean,
no.
just for the record,
There's some.
I know I
There's some
talked
that
to,
are really
I
delayed.
talked to the commissioner of Alachua County, and he said they've always had challenges on
Yes.
getting the appointments.
Yes, that's correct. And I haven't heard Alachua, but I've heard some of the other ones on the Treasure Coast area have major challenges around that, so.
Along the lines of this discussion, I have learned that within our own bylaws, there's a comment that the way that we have staggered the board membership so that all 5 of us that were appointees, governor appointees, wouldn't all come up at the same time, and some of us did 2 years and 4 years and whatever. But it has come to my attention that within our bylaws, for whatever that's worth, and that I guess is where my question is going, that after that first staggered term, that those of us that were governor appointees may then have the opportunity to serve a full 4-year term following that. And do y'all know any more about that, of whether that, so that rather than, for example, myself, my term having ended after 2 years, and that being it, now I'm in limbo while I'm wanting and agreeing and privileged to serve, is that the bylaws would say that I would be serving another 4 years regardless in order to serve a full term. Is there any?
So that was brought to my attention right before the meeting, and we'll be looking at it. I think the intent may have been simply that those who initially had the 2-year term would then, that position would be 4 years going forward on the staggered basis, not necessarily that that individual person would, do 6 years automatically. But we're going to take a look at that. I do know that the bylaws also state that you will serve until replaced, and that's in line with the research and the memorandum that we provided to the AG's office, that you're fine to serve until replaced.
All right, okay, thank you. Any further business before the board?
Mr. Chair, can we just get, Ms. White, do you want to reword your motion
Yes, I would
to
like to
postpone?
postpone the recommendation for the year 3 to the program committee and let the program committee handle it.
Okay.
Is there a second of that? Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And with that change of verbiage to be in compliance and all, and thank you for that clarification, Meredith, the motion is to postpone action on the ratification of year 3 out-of-school time funding until it comes before the program committee on the 21st, and then is brought back to the board at our next board meeting. And so, is there any further discussion on that? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and we will see you all next month, and thank you again for your confidence in myself.